Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the Aviation Show. I hope you are all doing well and all staying healthy as we can, that's all we can hope for, isn't it, at the moment, I think. Great to see loads of you in the chat already. We've got a good one coming up for you tonight. Myself and Sean from GEEKSVANA. Sean's going to be joining us very shortly to chat through a whole bunch of stuff. Probably get onto things like SpaceX and stuff like that as well, because it's been quite an interesting week in that side of things. I'm sure most of you probably saw that. And then we are on to our special guest for this evening after Sean, Will Glover from Fleye Aerial. Very lucky again to have such an awesome guest on tonight. Very, very experienced drone operator. Done a lot of film, TV, and movie work, a lot of heavy lift drone stuff. Will's been around. You know, if you're interested in getting into the drone industry and you want someone to follow, then it genuinely doesn't get much better than, you know, the people we've had on over the last couple of weeks. You got Pete Ayres, top pilots, Adam, Howard Dobson from Echo Alpha, the same, and Will, who really, I think, for me, has mastered the business side of things as well as being an excellent pilot and ambassador for the industry. So yeah, we're looking forward to having Will on later on as well. Just let me know if you can hear me okay, and let me know what you're up to in the chat. Please say hi to everybody. I can see loads of people in there, and it's good to see lots of new names as well. So thank you to everyone who is joining. You might notice we've been a little bit quieter over the last couple of days on the channel. We've had a lot going on, if I'm honest, at the Mr. MPW HQ. So I've not been able to get those videos out. But I'd be really interested to hear actually what your thoughts are on that, because we've been getting a lot of feedback. You know, the regular crowd, I guess, hopefully the people who are in the live streams and are sticking along with that. You know, the audio is not great. Okay, is that for everybody, or is that just for a few people? Please let me know, and I'll keep tweaking that. When you say it's not great, do you mean it's low or high or banging out? Just let me know, and we'll go from there. But yeah, so it's been a crazy busy week, but we've had a bit of feedback from people in there where it's been lots of people saying that, and I say, sorry, I just lost my thread a little bit by watching the chat. Lots of people saying, you know, you guys, the people who are following along, all good. Okay, everyone's saying it sounds good. So Rich Clark, I think you need to turn your speakers up, mate. But a few bits of feedback saying lots of people. There we go. That bit better. Top of my head got off. Thank you. Lots of people saying that they want us to do weekly or monthly instead of the short bite ones, which is, I think, what we've been trying to do, you know, to make it work for you guys, to say this is what the rules and regulations are. And I am going to get away from that. That's why we've been quiet over the last couple of days. We've had a bunch of stuff on trying to move forwards with the channel and the aviation side of things, which is really exciting. We've been talking about that for a while now. You know, so what we're trying to do is break down those videos. So let me know what works for you. Also thinking we're rapidly approaching 5,000 subscribers as well. So again, thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out. It helps us to get these, you know, people and characters and influencers onto the channel, and it helps us to get other bits and pieces teed up in the background as well that you're not aware of at the moment, but is definitely going on. So yeah, there we go. Cool. Lots of people saying keep them bite-sized, keep them coming, can't keep up, but find it useful when I need to find something. And that's the whole point, right? We're trying to build up a resource so that you can all come and find stuff when you need it. It's not about, you know, the vanity thing really of having a massive channel. It's about helping you and the community as best as we can at the moment. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, what I was going to say was, when we get to 5,000, we've got a couple of things planned. We've got a big giveaway planned, and I've also I'm tempted to try doing a month of going live at midday every day, in addition to what we do here. You know, that hopefully I'll go live and I will answer someone's question. So all the emails that we've got in, because to be honest, I've got 103 emails that have come in over the last couple of weeks that I just have not got round to. Sorry that the audio is lagging, guys. There's not much I can do about it, to be honest. It's going it's going out at the right speed at my end, and the internet's really good, so for a change. So yeah, sorry, just have to bear with that lag, I'm afraid. But yeah, attempts to go live every day at midday, in addition to all the other stuff that we're doing, for a whole month. See how that goes, and then yeah, you know, that should work quite nicely. But there we go. Good to see everyone as well. Anyway, I'm just going to do a few quick shout outs. Probably not going to get through everyone, I'm afraid. John Mansfield from AVIATION, no worries. Glad I could help yesterday. Big G, Big George, good to see you here as usual, and glad you managed to get out and do some flying. Brian Forward, hello. Coffee on the go. Yeah, probably need coffee for this kind of thing. Paul Burns, good to see you. Hello, campers. Steve Fuller, Steve Briggs, Rutland Aerial, Darren Eleanor, Carl Hazelhurst. GEEKSVANA, hey Sean, hope you're well, speak to you in a sec. The Manchild, damp and greying down Liverpool, it's been the same here in Stoke today. Sean, not GEEKSVANA, Sean. Desmond's Donders, welcome. Richard Clark, hello. Who else? We've got Echo Alpha in the house. Hopefully they can help out with a few bits. TAA, good to see you. Emily K, hello. Not seen Emily K in before, so new one to the channel, welcome. UAV, Luke Penny, nice to see you back, Luke. Matthew Hurst, hello. One of our instructors, Matthew Hurst, always likes to drop in and keep up on what the boss is up to. Oh, well, Davis, nice to see you. Pesky Seagull, Chris, nice to see you, Chris. Yeah, good to see everybody, and I hope everyone's doing well. Hot video in there as well, great stuff. Guys, if you would be so kind, just smash that like button for us, hit it if that's something that you fancy doing, and I'll just get on to the couple of bits I want to talk about. So quite a big week for aviation in the whole, I think. Oh, Emily! It's Emily K, as in Emily Kirkham. Sorry, I didn't recognise you from your picture. Emily's one of our social media managers and runs the channel. What a pisser. Sorry, mate. Yeah, so it doesn't look like you in the little tiny photo, to be fair, in the corner. Lol. There we go. So... hilarious. Big week for aviation, I think. We've got the quarantine introduction coming in next week, which I think is, personally, I think it's a good thing, because we've got the whole, keeping the curve flattened, right? Keep it coming down. That's what this has all been about so far. And we've worked so hard to get that done over the last few months, It's hit all of us. Hey, James. Good to see you, mate. It's hit all of us hard, and I think it would be such a shame to undo all of that and just open up again. And I know it's great that we have got back to a semblance of normality, a lot of us anyway, albeit we're still at home and everyone's working remotely within the business. But aviation-wise, personally, I think that the 14-day quarantine thing is a good thing. I think getting that kind of aviation piece ticking along too quickly isn't going to be a good thing necessarily for the aviation industry as a whole. But I do understand, the opposite side of that completely, where it's going to stop people from travelling. So I think a tricky balance, and I don't envy the government. I don't envy the don't envy the government. I don't envy the people in that side of things getting things done. One thing I have noticed, though, is that general aviation in particular has started up again over the last few days, and hopefully this works, right? So this is like my dream aeroplane. This is a Cirrus SR22 for those for the uninitiated. This is like the Bugatti Veyron, if you like, of the... I know, it's all right, James. I spotted you weren't here as Cam Wings. This is the Bugatti Veyron of the general aviation world, all right? If you've not checked out an SR22, if you've never seen one of these, go and check out the Cirrus website after this. These things are absolutely phenomenal inside and out. And the reason and there you go, JRen FPV, welcome to the channel. He's just picked up on it. The reason I'm pointing this out is that the Cirrus aircraft are extremely safe. Okay, they've got a special protection system called caps built in. So just behind where the crew cabin is, there is a special parachute. The Cirrus aircraft parachute system, the cap system, which you arm after you've taken off a few hundred feet in the air. And the whole point is, if the aircraft gets into certain situations, it's not unrecoverable, but it's a parachute system which you can fire, which essentially brings the aircraft down, hopefully safely, and keeps everybody safe. Now these things are like crazy performance, so fast, can, go for miles, pressurized, etc. There've been a couple of accidents with these over the last few days. The kind of first couple of days out of lockdown, One ran off the end of a runway, pretty much by the looks of things wrote the aircraft off, the pilot, and the pilot was okay from what I understand. And one crashed at the weekend at a beach down in, I think it was Bournemouth or Southend. Had an engine failure at height. They flew it down the coast with the engine failure, pulled the cap system, or fired the caps, and the aircraft landed in the sea on the kind of shoreline. It did flip on its back, and I believe the crew were potentially and passengers were kind of stuck inside for a very short time. But yeah, it's very interesting, as we get back to that. And I think the main reason I've kind of put that up, this is happening in the general aviation world because it's all unlocked. We need to be very careful in the drone world as well, that as we start to kind of come out of lockdown, that we all stay safe and that we fly safely. And I'm not saying this is anything to do with it. I am very much, again, for anyone who's met me in the aviation side of things, I'm very anti, because I've done work with the Air Accident Investigation Branch in the past and some quite horrible incidents. And I'm very anti-speculation with these things. So that isn't why I've put those pictures up. That isn't why I've talked about those. It's to kind of impress on everybody that, one, we shouldn't speculate, but two, we need to go and be careful when we get out there. So work yourselves up, guys and girls. Like, when you get out there, practice safely in a safe place before you go out and start doing, complicated, crazy things with your drones that you might have been doing when you were current and competent before. Go out and do the crawl, walk, run thing. Okay, take your time and be careful. I can see people talking about how expensive those Cirrus aircraft are. To give you an idea, I mean, you can get older ones for about £250,000. A new SR22 like that, well kitted out, will cost you over £1 million plus that. So yeah, very expensive machines, but absolutely incredible. It's certainly what I would want ultimately if I could get one. Yeah, Echo Alpha saying you can get it with Garmin Autoland. You can. Now that system is, well, has it been certified in the UK? But it does have Autoland built in, or you can get it with Autoland built in the perspective system, as they call it. So you can literally press a button if something happens to the pilot, or not. If the pilot feels unwell, you can press a button and the aircraft will fly itself and land itself at the nearest suitable airport. Totally hands off. It's absolutely incredible. Again, another amazing safety feature which the technology is bringing to us, like the cap system, which has saved countless lives now in that aircraft on its own. Ordering one tomorrow, absolutely. On that, I am looking at buying an aeroplane, which is mental. Don't know whether it's going to happen anytime soon, but for those who weren't aware, I've managed to get my my medical, my CAA medical, which I never thought I would get. And I am potentially going to buy something like this, a second-hand, so nothing like the Cirrus in terms of cost, but a second-hand, as these are a microlight. And I think everyone thinks of microlights as, what we see, the kind of hang glider with someone hanging underneath, right? But now there is a class of aircraft which are classed as microlights, and you can fly these effectively proper aeroplanes under a permit to fly, and get some quite interesting performance out of them, actually. So I am looking at the moment. This is the Vector Eurostar EV97. Go and check them out. There's a few cool videos on YouTube about them, and so that's what I'm looking at. And yeah, people who are subscribing to the channel, people who are friends of the channel, will be running not competitions because we're not allowed to do that, but certainly I want a Kit Fox. I know I want a Kit Fox, but here's the thing: Kit Fox, in the UK, there is no UK dealer, and I was looking at a Kit Fox, and everyone who's spoken to me about this knows I want one of those desperately. And I actually looked at a Highlander as well, which is like the kind of slightly bigger version of the Kit Fox. But there's no Kit Fox dealer in the UK anymore. The Eurofox Kit dealer has unfortunately gone out of business, so I don't really want to get into an aircraft that I can't get serviced easily and stay on top of that way. So it might be a Highlander, a little bit more expensive, but I think the Eurostar at the moment is looking like the right price and the right performance, so we'll see. But yeah, one of the things that will be open, so we're looking at, and again, I'd like to hear from you guys whether you're interested in things like Patreon or memberships on the YouTube channel. one of the things we will be opening up is the opportunity for members and stuff like that to potentially come flying with us. So, we'll do some of the interviews in the aircraft and bits and pieces like that. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. So experimental doesn't exist in the UK, just to answer some of the people. It's the LAA, the Light Aircraft Association. You fly them on a permit to fly rather than a certificate of airworthiness. So, let's become the Kit Fox dealer, Matthew. Absolutely. God, I would love that so much. You fly them on a permit to fly, and it's effectively, I suppose, the same as in America, where you stick the experimental sticker across the back and go from there. But there we are. So a busy week in aviation and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So without further ado, I am going to give Sean a call. GEEKSVANA, let's have a chat and see how Sean's doing. Hello, sir.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm just trying to see how these audio levels are.
Yes.
We've got video from you this time, and we've got an unmuted mic.
Indeed, yeah.
That's awesome. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you. How? Yeah, it's all fun at the moment. We've been missing Mr. MPW on the airwaves.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
So and anything that gives us more Mr. MPW, do that basically. Okay.
No worries. Yeah, well, like I say, I think I'm hoping to do the audio. Audio's very low. I've got both of them balanced. It's my end, mate, not yours. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'll try and balance those out. There we go. Hopefully that's a bit better. Cool. Yeah, like I say, I think we'll keep doing the daily videos for the drone stuff. We're going to try and do weekly videos for the aviation stuff so that we can put a bit more curation into those. And,
yeah, it's a good idea.
That's it. And then we'll do the lives as well, I think, every day. So we're biting off a lot, but
Lives every day.
Yeah, that's it. No messing around, eh?
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Very brave.
You're not available every day. Damn it. That's it. So what's caught your eye this week, mate?
Well, we've been talking about a few different subjects over on GEEKSVANA this week. Today we put out a video regarding Skydio and their efforts over in the States. They're basically it looks like they're starting to take some of the slack that's been created by DJI leaving the government and federal space. So they've started to get some of the contracts. They've started to get some of the work going their way, which is obviously good. It is an American company, and they've even instructed their first lobbyist. So it seems like they're going to be taking the government side of things, the federal contracts, pretty seriously. And I have to say, I did always wonder whether they would end up going down that route, potentially even more so than the consumer drones, because their IP inside that little drone is really high value. The things that little drone can do is pretty incredible, and if you develop that further, then I think that could be quite interesting.
Interesting. I mean, they did seem to hit quite hard, didn't they? The law enforcement are quite a touchy subject at the moment, but they hit the law enforcement thing quite hard, I think, when they first came out, didn't they? I remember seeing a lot of their kind of PR being based around that.
That's right, which they were very open about, but they weren't quite so open about the sort of the surveillance side of things. And it was actually a Forbes article that did a lot of digging, a lot of freedom of information type-esque requests and unearthed everything. But it seems they are getting very heavily involved there, which, they are a company. They want to increase their income as much as possible. Good on them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, and people saying we'd love to have a Skydio too and all that sort of stuff. I just think at the moment, unfortunately, it's one of those that isn't going to work in the UK with the regulations, right?
Yeah, I when it first came out and when it was first when the first trailers hit, and that was before we definitely knew that it wasn't going to be coming into the UK and Europe. I thought I just can't see that working even now, let alone under the EASA regulations. There's just too many parts of it that just don't seem to work, which hopefully we won't get that too often down the line. After November, we won't get too many drone companies just bringing stuff out in North America, because obviously that would mean we would miss out on anything that isn't Chinese, basically.
Yeah, very interesting, eh? Cool. And then obviously we had SpaceX at the weekend. What an event!
It was a treat, wasn't it? Really, it was absolutely fascinating, and I think the coverage was we obviously, the fact that we're able to do this from our homes during lockdown, etc., and everything else like that, we know tech is a good tech isn't that complicated anymore, but the coverage of that thing was just incredible. Some of the docking video feeds and that type of thing, it was just fantastic to watch every little slowdown, every little hands-off moment, and everything in such detail was a real treat.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like I was saying to our team, it was like, because in a way, I suppose, not that what we do is anything like the same scale as what those guys are up to.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's about emulating that, because they've taken something which is not only very difficult, very expensive, very high risk, but they've made it cool. Like, that is where I think, for me, SpaceX have won this game entirely. Like, they have made this shit cool. And hats off to the team, right, that they've created, and the vision that they had.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible, and it shows. I know Elon isn't taken quite so seriously, especially the way that he presents himself on social media, but it really just does show the joined up thinking there, because everything back from launching a car up into space, and all the little things that he does has an end goal, and has a joined up thinking there, and it is revolutionary, and as you say, it would be good to see that kind of innovative thinking in other fields.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in a way that's got to come to our industry as well at some point, right? Like, hopefully.
Yeah, although I hope it isn't so revolutionary that us hobbyists are pushed out of the way completely.
Yeah.
Because I still fear the day where we have police drones and delivery drones, everything else zipping around, and the only drones we get to play with are autonomous drones that are talking to all those other drones themselves, and we basically almost can't fly them. They're just we tell them what to go and take a picture of, and it goes and does that by itself.
Yeah.
That's my fear for technology from our industry, but hopefully there's always going to be some kind of independent side of it that's giving us some cool toys.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. And of course, SpaceX then, for the first time ever, 3 days later, reused a Falcon 9 for the 5th time. Like,
that's crazy.
That's insane. And brought one of their drone boats over from the East Coast that they'd decommissioned, and it's like, what are they doing? And again, another successful launch and recovery.
Which is something I can't remember where it comes from, but it's the 4 stages of a good idea, isn't it? And it starts with people laughing at you, and reusing Falcon Heavy, like as you say, 5 times. That would only just a few years ago would have been absolutely laughed out of any kind of NASA meeting whatsoever. So it's incredible how far they've come so quickly.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, so I've just got someone, sorry mate, and I know, well, I'm pretty certain you've got a video on this. So George, Big G, is saying, I'm sure I read somewhere they're going to send a drone to Mars so it can explore, and I think you've talked about that on your channel in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I've got a couple of interviews with one of the men that's in charge of that, actually, Dr. Pascal Lee, who runs the Mars Institute, and he is basically researching and preparing for the first manned missions to Mars. And they will be taking drones. And his interview, which is a good one. It's a fairly long one actually on my channel, but it is a good one. Shows that they've actually developed a spacesuit glove that will control the drone. Nice. Literally, he likens it to the Force, and every finger does another little job on the drone, which they've actually been practicing with the Spark.
Oh,
so they've got all this tech stood there in a spacesuit. And it's a DJI Spark in the air, which is quite funny.
Nice.
But the first one is going this year. Is it about to launch? And it arrives in February, which is just a little single prop, twin prop single shaft helicopter, and they're just basically sending it up as proof of concept to make sure that that kind of thing can actually fly on Mars.
Nice. That's cool. Well, mate, I know you have got a live after this with Lib.
Yes.
Would you mind, if you get chance, could you just drop a link to that video into the chat for us so that people can loop back around and check that out afterwards?
Thank you very much. Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Well, mate, as always, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Great to catch up with you. And I know I've got a text from you, sorry, that I just have not had a chance to get around to. So I'll.
That's okay. You're just an extremely rude person.
Yeah,
I'm more than used to it.
I'm sorry. I just call you up and expect you to be there. No, I'll drop you a line tomorrow, mate, and we'll catch up on that.
There's no
everyone, Sean dropped the thanks in the chat, please. There's a link to Sean's channel in there as well that I kept dropping in. He'll drop the video link in a bit. Go and watch him and Lib at 9:15 this evening.
9:15, yes.
9:15. And what key things are you going to be chatting about, if you don't mind?
Tonight we are. It's the drone show, which is the show that Libby normally hosts. We're doing it live for once, so it's a bit lighter, which I thought would be good to do live, as everything's been quite serious in the world recently.
Yeah.
So it's lots of viewer videos, drone news, but again more on the lighter side of drone news. And we've even got an unboxing this evening, which will be fun.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you there, mate.
Thank you.
I'll catch you in the chat, and yeah, have a good one. I'll speak to you very soon.
See you soon.
Cheers, dude. See you in a bit. There we go. Thank you, as always, to Sean from GEEKSVANA. Please go and support Sean over on his channel. I did keep dropping a link in. I'll drop another link in now. Bosh, there we go. That should come in soon. And yeah, go and support GEEKSVANA, a friend of the channel. There we go. So before we move on, I'm going to call Will Glover in about 30 seconds. Just again ask if you could hit that like button for me, please. That would really help us out. It costs you nothing. Just press that button now. And if you do want to get anything talked about in the chat, there's lots of chat going on now, which is brilliant. Just in terms of hopefully supporting the channel as well. We have enabled super chat and super stickers. You can put kind of any amount of donation in there. It'll highlight your question. It will mean that you're more likely to get seen by me, and I can pass those questions on to Will, and I can answer those questions for you as well. But we got a couple in last week, and that was really very, very much appreciated. But again, please consider doing that to help the channel out if you found some value from what we've talked about over the last year or so on the channel, and what we're doing here now. So without further ado, let's give Will Glover a call from Fleye Aerial. Here we go. Hello, sir.
Hi, Matt. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries at all. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, everyone, this is Will from Fleye Aerial. As I've said before, and I'm sorry we came to you a little bit late, mate. I ended up gassing on for quite a while.
It's all right. Nearly finished my wine, actually, Matt.
Oh, so this could get really interesting. No, that's great stuff. So, Will, again, I introduced you at the kind of top of the show. Quick little bit about it now. So, Will, very, very successful. These guys have flown literally all over the world with all sorts of different aircraft, doing all sorts of different things. Primarily, I think, safe to say, it's TV, movies, and live broadcast. A bit of sports as well, that I know you kind of took up the mantle from us. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I know you're really busy in between building sheds and drinking wine. If anyone hasn't, by the way, been over and seen the Fleye Aerial socials, there's loads of people. How many followers you got on Instagram? It's something ridiculous, like 10k or something.
You know what? It was really good, and over the past few years, it's kind of dropped down. I think it was about 18,000. It's about 13.5 now, something like that.
Okay.
But I don't know. We don't put quite as much effort into it as we used to. But yeah, you know, there's some good content on there. Obviously, at the moment, we've been sat at home. It wouldn't be that
exciting.
Thing really.
Yeah, that's it.
Laptop screen. But other than that, yeah, you know, we try and keep it up to date when we are actually working and doing projects and exciting stuff. We do travel around a lot, so yeah. We try and keep them as up to date as we can. It's difficult though. You don't often think about taking photos when you're in the thick of it. Less and less so, actually.
Yeah, and I think a lot of productions now don't like people to do it either, do they? So it gets quite difficult to do that in a way.
Well, yeah, and I think as well the calibre of, as we've gone on, obviously the calibre of the projects that we've worked on has got greater, and with that comes stricter NDAs, and projects that you can't talk about so much. So yeah, you know, it does make life a little more difficult, but we'll always try and sneak on a quick photo of an Alexa Mini with a nice anamorphic lens on or something like that if we can.
That's it. No, that's awesome, mate. So lots of people kind of watching on the channel, you know, they're all here, or a lot of people are here. They want to know how you guys who end up very successful, because they hear it from us, right? And we say, you should be doing this, this, and this, and I talk about it on the channel. But what they want to know is not just from me, but from you guys as well. Like, what's the journey that you've been on? So where did you start off, right back at the beginning, if you don't mind starting there?
Yeah, so in 2000 and end of sort of 2013 was where I kind of started my journey into thinking about setting up a drone company, basically. So it was quite early on. We weren't the earliest. There were quite a few people before us. I think our permission number was 490 something. So we're fairly early. And by the time I actually got it, it was kind of mid 2014. By the time I'd done my Euro USC training and so on and so forth. And since then, we've kind of worked up. I didn't have much experience in film and TV. From the ages of 12 to 18, I was actually in the British sailing team, and that was my main thing, really. You know, I was a sailor, and I thought I was going to go to the Olympics. But in that sort of journey of being a sailor, we made a lot of quite nice promotional videos for our sponsors, and we were always quite good at getting sort of sponsors as well. And that kind of put me on the track of enjoying film and TV. And when drones came out, and I was looking for something to do myself, it seemed like an obvious solution that I would use drones to film sailing events. And that was kind of where it started, really. So with my contacts in the sailing industry, that was kind of what I initially did, and were some of my first kind of videos, if you like, were of sailing events that I used to race in, because to me it was the easiest place to start. I think if you can start where you have contacts, then it's a sort of good place. So yeah, that was sort of back in 2014, and with those sailing events actually was the start of us getting international permissions. There's one thing getting UK permissions, which I think you know is all well and good, but we started then doing international sailing events and gathering sailing permissions, international permissions, really.
Yeah.
And building up difficult to access countries like Italy and Spain and so on and so forth. So one of the things that we've ended up doing a lot of over the years is sort of selling that kind of reputation of being able to get international permissions and operating all over the world. So I think in total, one of our big contracts was for TUI. And I think in total, with them and with the other clients that we have, we've operated in over 30 countries now.
Wow.
It's definitely a lot of travel that we've been involved in on our side. Usually with smaller drones, but certainly, you know, back in the day it was bigger stuff. Not super heavy lift or anything like that, but kind of S900s and S1000s, that kind of thing. Were kind of the 2015 and 16 workhorses until the Inspires started to come in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now that's really interesting. Again, it's a running theme. Sorry, mate, I'm just going to jump outside and say thank you to GEEKSVANA ever so much for your super sticker. It's very much appreciated. And to Sean for your super chat as well. Here's one for free, no question. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, so again, I think it's one of those, isn't it? And it's this running theme between all of these operators who've ended up popping out of the top almost. You know, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of graft, a hell of a lot of time, effort and energy going into it. But also finding, and this is one of the things I talk about when I do my kind of business coaching, and people come to the seminars, and there's some people in here who've been to those who will attest this. I'm like, find what your superpower is, find who your power group is, and exploit it. Because if you know people within it, like you did in the sailing world, it's going to give you access straight away to people, contacts, a network, and locations that you just are gonna struggle to get otherwise, right?
Yeah, and I think you know, I kind of came from a business family. My dad ran quite a successful large agency, so creative industries as well, which I think definitely helped because I kind of understood understood in some respects how it worked. You know, I think when you first come into this industry, it's a bit confusing that you would work for a production company who's working for an agency, who's potentially working for another agency, who's then working for the end client. It's all a bit of a minefield, but I think I did have a reasonable concept of that before I kind of came into it. But one of the biggest things that's kind of helped my business, because ultimately I didn't start in the film and TV industry. I started with a keen interest in RC, no competition or anything like that. You know, I played about with RC nitro cars and stuff like that when I was younger, but other than that, it was really as a sort of tool to get some good shots sailing. And I played about with that as a kid, so I didn't have the ins in the industry in film and TV. So you've got to look for opportunities that you do have, because there are opportunities sort of everywhere, really. And one of our biggest kind of things that set us off, I managed to get a client that was a Shutterstock. He was Shutterstock's largest contributor.
Right.
And so uploaded tens of thousands of clips to Shutterstock a year. And I got a good relationship with him, and we traveled around the world doing all sorts of different shoots, mainly by ourselves, giving him footage for his stock site. And he paid us a good wage, and then obviously earned it back he's probably still earning it back, to be honest with you.
As they do.
And that was, you know, you get these things, and the reason I won him was because we used from the very beginning, I invested in a CRM system called Salesforce, and we don't use Salesforce anymore. Actually, we found one called Insightly, which is a little bit more. Salesforce was amazing because it was a good CRM to start with, but it's quite a big one. It's massive. It's designed for kind of enterprises, and I suspect people like British Telecom and so forth would actually use it. And actually, what it did mean is that it had infinite possibilities, but it kind of it was almost a bit too complicated for us, which is why in the end we moved away from it. But what it did mean was that I could put contacts in there, phone them up, and the way I started, I remember sitting down sort of beginning of the summer at my desk in my bedroom at my parents' house when I started the company. I was 19 when I started it, and I sat down and I just called every single day. I had a huge list that I found. I think it was KFTV originally that I went down, and I just downloaded them all, printed them out on loads of sheets of paper, and ticked them off as I rang them.
Nice.
And my thing was that if I got through 30, 40 a day calls, and maybe 2 or 3 of them showed interest, and maybe one of them gave me a potential lead on a project, that would be straight into Salesforce. And I followed up, and that was exactly how I won that kind of first kind of big guy with the Shutterstock contributor, because I followed him up. And when I followed him up, he said, God, you know, I remember speaking to you 3 months ago, and I'm really impressed you got back in touch, because now I don't have to think about going out there and looking for a drone company, because I would have probably forgotten about you. And
yeah.
and I would have probably forgotten about you. I didn't know you could fly in France, and I came back to him and I said, yeah, we can fly in France. What's your project, and can we help you? And that was kind of the realization, really. And you know what? Since then, although we've moved on to Insightly, you know, the CRM from day one has been the kind of not the base of our business, because I think, you know, we have a lot of kind of good relationships with people now, but it certainly helped build that base.
Yeah.
And without it, we wouldn't have had that base of kind of good relationships. And what Insightly does for us now is manage all of our contacts, all of the production companies that are our clients, and then our projects as well. So, you know, we'll go from every if I get a slight hint somewhere that there may be a project in the distant future, it will go into Insightly, and it will be. And you know what? The amount of times that those leads end up coming off because you make it so easy for them to just go yes. It really does make a huge difference. And so that's, you know, that system kind of runs our business. But obviously, you know, a lot of work goes into creating it, and I do think for people starting now, it is more difficult, because you pick up the phone to a production company who you've never spoken to before. hi, we're a drone filming company. Oh, hello. They've already gone because they've already had 5 calls that day.
Yeah.
Whereas actually in 2014, 2015, people were quite interested because they were looking for people to do the work.
Yeah.
And so I do think my approach now is probably slightly different. But every single day, I think people look at sort of our company and the other companies that we're involved in at the moment and think, God, how do you get there? But actually, I spend 25% of my time sending emails out blank to people that I've never met before.
Yeah.
And that's what gives us the jobs. The trickle and the base comes in because of our reputation and because of our Google rankings and because of work that we've done in the past. But you can pinpoint certain jobs that came from doing certain things. I mean, a few years ago we had these. I don't know if I've got any in here. I don't. We had a little mailer that we did, which was a propeller on a stick, and it said "fly" on it, and you go like this, and it shoots up. And I sent them around to a load of production companies that I wanted to work with, and sure enough, they absolutely loved it. It was on their Instagram the next day of them using it.
Nice.
We got a job. From that job, the DOP put us onto other things. We won a massive client, and you can sort of see how it fans out from that one thing. Although we probably sent out, I don't know, I think we sent out about 100 of those as a first kind of batch. I think probably maybe 10 of them led to a job, but that one in itself led to almost a whole year's worth of income.
Amazing.
When you look at and but without doing that kind of big bulk of work at the bottom, you don't get that. I don't think really this is the kind of business that you can create a website and hope that someone will use you.
Yeah.
The kind of work we do is, yes, because I genuinely think that we're a really good team of operators with really good equipment and do good work, but we wouldn't be where we were if we didn't do that new business.
Yeah.
We're a sales team as much as we are drone operators.
That's it, mate. This is absolute gold, by the way. And honestly, like, people in the chat who want to hear, there he goes, gone, quaffed. Good luck doing the sales tomorrow, or they might make you better. People who are in the chat, right, who have come across and are interested in doing the drone business thing, like, this is absolute gold. It isn't just me saying that you have to be more, like, the drone flying is such a small percentage of what we do at the top level. The majority, I would say, and always have said, is the business development. It is, and this is how I found you in the very first instance, Will, back in 2013, I guess, right? Like when you guys first started. I'd never heard of you guys before, because I guess you were small at the time. It was you on your own at mum and dad's house or whatever it was. But for me, I found you because I was reading very randomly like a business article in a magazine, and I can't remember what the magazine is now. You might know which one it was rather than me. It was a business article in a broadcast magazine, from what I can remember, and you'd done it. So you've been interviewed, and I remember seeing that they said, "How did you get started?" And you said, "I put 100 people into a CRM, and I worked those contacts." And I didn't stop putting people into a CRM and working those contacts. And I thought, shit, this guy's got it. Like, this kid has got it. And he's going to do well. And that's what it's about, right? And some people saying they don't know what a CRM is. It's not crew resource management, which we talk about, where it's about working with the crew. This is the client relationship management. This is things like Will said he used HubSpot and now uses Insightly. We use HubSpot, which is actually a derivative of Salesforce, because Salesforce is, like Will said, it's too big for people at our level, right? But yeah, that's it. It's the business development. And actually, for me, that's the most exciting part. And I think you're very similar, right? Like, it's the business thing that excites you. The fact that we fly drones is cool, and it's a great thing to do, and we get to travel the world. But that isn't it. That's the end result of all the graft and all the hard work, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you look at the Instagram and we're all over the place, and it's really great fun. And actually, I don't think I expected that to necessarily come when I started the business. I started it as a sort of business journey and something that I was interested in. I don't think I really thought about the fact that I could be traveling all over the world and working with some really cool people, and that's come as a side effect. And now I really struggle with the prospect of potentially, ever doing something else, because it genuinely is a job that I think if you're in the pub and someone asks you what you do, you have 5 people listening in over your shoulder before you've actually kind of finished what you're saying, because everyone's so interested and they don't, it's just a totally different world.
Yeah.
And I think the film and TV world does have that kind of persona wrapped around it, that everyone kind of thinks it's a bit magical, and you do, but it is, you do some really interesting things, and some of the projects that we've seen being involved in have been amazing. And then some of the companies that I'm now involved with, I would have never even assumed, even 3 years ago, that we would be where we are. But you keep churning away, and I think that the business element for me comes absolutely first. If I had to take a back seat to flying and not being out on set, which I'm having to do more of and more of, then that's what I'll do, because ultimately the business is kind of the most important thing, and that's also actually all I've got. If it goes under, I'm pretty screwed fairly quickly. So.
That's it. No, mate, that's really interesting. Thank you. So again, a couple of the questions that we get coming in all the time that people want to know from top operators, and hopefully, as we kind of discussed earlier, maybe we can get you back in a couple of weeks and you could talk about the things that you're moving on to doing and what's come from the business journey. It might be interesting, and if people would be interested in hearing like the next stage that Will's going on to now, in terms of a business journey, not just about drone stuff, then let me know, and we could potentially, if you're up for it, mate, we'll shoot a video offline, online, but not live, and we can edit it up, and we can chat about what you guys are up to next, because I think that'd be really interesting for people if they'd want to know. So
yeah, sure. I mean, I need to check, but I feel like some of the other guys would be really interested in sharing some of the projects that we're working in with absolutely massive drones for film and TV, and I think that's something that's probably a lot of people would find exciting. So yeah, no, I think that sounds like a good idea. Definitely.
That'd be cool. So let's break it down then. Will's kind of top 3. What is the coolest thing you've ever done, business-wise, kind of drone-wise, and stuff like that?
I think the if you're asking coolest job,
yeah,
we did. Me and my now business partner Matt did a job out in Mexico last year called Blue Planet Live, which actually today has been nominated for a BAFTA. So
good luck with that.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come off. But yeah, we were out in Mexico for a month. The outside broadcast unit was in a horse box. There was cables absolutely everywhere. We had a tiny little boat that we were flying an Alta 8 off, and it was just awesome. I absolutely loved every minute of that job. It was such an adventure, and yeah, we were out there just under 4 weeks, working away to sort of produce these 4 shows that came out, and it was just the most fun I've ever had. It was a nightmare as well. I mean, we got there and I think we had 8 boxes, and 3 of them were critical, and 2 of the 3 critical boxes went missing on the flight.
Oh, mate,
and
standard.
We were in a little place called Loreto, which is in the absolute arse end of nowhere in Baja.
Yeah.
And we ended up flying out some more guys with some more kit, not on a carnet, kind of sneaking it through the airport so that we could carry on doing what we went there to do. And it wasn't until we got back to Loreto about 2 weeks later for one of the later shows that we got it back. And it was at the end of the job. It was chargers, it was drone chargers, and it was also the Marvi gimbal controller as well. So we'd have been fairly screwed if we hadn't got more out. And so it was a bit of a nightmare as well. But that was just an absolutely incredible experience. I've got a photo in our office on the wall with the Blue Planet Live. We did a shoot on top of we flew the drone out, and everyone got on top of this boat that we were filming from, and got a great picture. We had Chris Packham was our presenter, so he was in there as well. So that was probably my top ever job. I'd say. It came at the right moment as well. We were quite quiet, and there could have been
yeah.
done a bit.
That's
it was like just after winter, huge job, and it was just like, okay, we're set out for the year. It was one of those. So
yeah,
a number of reasons, it was definitely the best project.
Very nice. And I wasn't ignoring Will, by the way, everyone. I was looking for some of the pictures because I've seen them on the internet in the past, and I know you shared some with me because that was kind of it was one of those jobs that I think kind of got handed around the network, wasn't it? And you guys ended up going on and stuff, and yeah, it's really cool to see that kind of thing going on. What's the so that's your coolest job then? What's the coolest place that you've been, or would that be it as well?
Yeah, I mean, that was quite cool. We went to a club one night, and there were two kind of mafia armed security guards standing outside the toilet, and it just felt quite hardcore. We weren't really allowed anywhere without a security guard with us who were armed. So that was it just felt a bit badass. I suppose in your line of previous work, it probably is normal. But,
Every day.
But for me, I'd never been in that situation before, so I thought that was quite cool. But I did do a job on one of Roman Abramovich's super yachts once out in Germany.
Nice.
And it actually wasn't his anymore. He sold it to his friend for £450 million or dollars, I don't know.
Yeah.
And his friend had spent £50 million refurbishing it, even though Abramovich had only ever spent 2 weeks on board. And then
Wow.
the whole reason we were there was to film a video just to show the new owner what it was looking like. And they had a full production crew there. So that was also pretty cool. It was cold, actually, really cold. It was just off the coast in Germany, in a place called Bremerhaven.
Right.
But it was a really good job. So
Nice.
So yeah, that was a cool one as well.
I think the coolest one for me that I've seen that you guys have done was like, oh, that is beautiful. In terms of the footage that we'd seen, in fact, there's two shots of yours that stand out. The first one was in your very first show reel that I saw, which was a bridge somewhere, presumably kind of north of the wall where you are, where you had cyclists on the bridge, and I was just like, that shot at the time was absolutely like, what, that is helicopter, and I think it was for a bike company.
Santa
Cruz, there you go. And that just, even now, stands out to me as like, again, these guys are on a path to greatness here, So yes, it was that one, and the GT40 in Iceland, was it?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of that as well.
Oh, mate.
To be honest, there have been a lot of good ones. Yeah, that was in Norway. We did a film with. We've done quite a lot with Ford, actually. You know what? One of the things that I really like about the work that we do quite a lot of branded content stuff, as well as kind of commercials and sort of dabble in movies, and we do quite a bit of drama as well. We did a lot of drama last year. But one of the things I really like about the work that we do is the fact that we will definitely take really nice branded content stuff, because you don't have more fun on a shoot. So that was basically a road trip across Norway with a good friend of mine now, Steve Sutcliffe, who's a motoring journalist who some of you may follow. And it was a collaboration between Ford and EvoMag, who we've since done loads of work with. And I think we'd done one project before with them, but I didn't know them that well. And we basically got given a Ford GT and a map of Norway, and we were off for 2 weeks. And where we ended up, there was beautiful roads all the way around. There's this Atlantic Ocean road, which is just absolutely stunning. And just it would have been really difficult to do a bad job because it looked so good.
Yeah.
Anything that we did, we could have made it look good. We'd have had to have really cocked it up to not be to not come out with some good footage. And needless to say, in the film, I reckon 40% of it was drone shots. But then we went up north to the Arctic Circle, or just below the Arctic Circle, and there's a raceway called the Arctic Circle Raceway, and we got given the keys by the lady, kind of, who ran who changed the motorbike tires, called Liz. And she handed us the keys on day one and said, look after it, lock the gate when you're done, kind of thing. And we just had this incredible race circuit all to ourselves, in just below the Arctic Circle Raceway with a glacier up on the hill. And it was actually built out of an old quarry. So it looked amazing, and yeah, that was really cool. We did some cool things on that race circuit, and yeah, that was good.
That's amazing, mate. Well, you know, yeah, it's incredible. Just and again, so kind of the final question, I guess. What's your worst moment? The kind of heart-stopping moment, if you're able to share one of those, or the heart stopper with us.
Yeah, I've had a couple of kind of. We've had crashes in the past. I think we've been fairly lucky, given the amount of time that we've been going, to not have too many. I think we've had 4 in total. One of them was a graze, if that. But actually, you mentioned the shot, and probably no one knows this actually. But you mentioned the shot about the viaduct for the Santa Cruz film. Later on that day, I actually crashed the drone into the side of the viaduct. And that was quite early on in the sort of whole journey. I think that was I think it was maybe December 2014 or January 2015. And I bought 3 16,000 milliamp hour Tattoo batteries off you for that job. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was just pilot error, and I crashed into the side of this viaduct. But it was the first crash I'd had, and it was quite a good job for me, as the Santa Cruz bikes. I've been into my cycling for years, and it was a good brand, and it was just Steve Peat, who I live in Sheffield. He's sort of a local legend, mountain bike rider, ex-world champion. He was riding the bikes, and yeah, I crashed it into the side of this thing, and I just had a real moment of, God, that's such bad judgment. Can I really do this? Is this actually for me?
Yeah.
I can get to work and all this kind of stuff, but am I actually right for this? And I think I remember calling my dad up, and I was like, I can't believe this has just happened. And he said, you need to pick yourself up. And sure enough, I did, and picked myself up, and I got back to the shoot the next day, and did a good job, and the video looked good.
Yeah.
But that was probably my kind of lowest sort of, can I really do this? And it was one of the only times I've really properly doubted myself. I mean, I had another crash in Italy about 2 years ago, and that was again pilot error. The 2 crashes I've had have been pilot error. The other ones have been kit failure, and I miscalculated it and just smacked into a fence basically. One of them, there was 2 fences over a ski run. A car was coming under the bridge, and I dropped below. I saw one of the fences go past, and I don't know what happened, but basically I clipped the second one. But you know what? We were pushing it to the limit. We were after a really quite technical shot.
Yeah.
Going quite fast in altitude, and I don't think any amount of experience can kind of just when you're pushing it to the limits like that. I don't think any amount of experience can stop things like that happening necessarily.
No.
And it's knowing that when they do happen, if they happen, which is very rare, that they're safe. And at the end of the day, no one was at risk at all. We got the spec out and carried on, finished the shoot, and everyone went home happy.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot, a hell of a lot in movies. You have sacrificial drones, and you may or may not get them back, but if it's safe and you can do it, and you can potentially come out with an absolutely killer shot, then it's worth it. And so, since that moment back in either end of 2014 or early 2015, I've always, I don't think I've ever really doubted the kind of journey that I've been on. But that was the one that was like the really kind of, oh God, can I really do this? I didn't have much money at the time as well, so it was going to be expensive.
Was it an S900 or something like that?
Yeah, that one was an S900.
Yeah, oh mate.
Yeah. Which were all cool machines actually. I had an issue with one of them where the prop kind of just pulled out of the motor. It was made out of like
cheese,
lead or something. It was rubbish. And that was a bit of a heavy landing. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think the kit's getting a lot lot better now. There's nothing worse than having kit problems on a job. We don't often have it because we prep stuff and make sure it's working, and but there's inevitably some things you never foresee, and I hate it when kit lets you down. But again, it doesn't really kind of falter the sort of journey that I've got in my head and the path that I'm on, because ultimately, like, everyone gets kit issues from time to time, and
that's it. And we tend to take spares if we can, don't we, of the very important stuff. And
that's it. And I think you put yourself in a position where you can solve problems. I think having a reasonably good understanding. It's one of the things actually that's more difficult now, is that you can't really repair a drone if it goes wrong. You do need backups, but having a really good understanding of the systems and how they work, and making sure that you know their nuances. I mean, the DPI systems have many of them, and if you don't sort of encounter them, if you don't use them regularly, you could come across something that could really screw you over. And it might be just something as simple as putting it on a box to take off to stop a compass error that won't go away. All these kind of little things could really catch you out on the job. But that just comes with experience and operating. And I do feel like having kind of been in the industry since early 2014, the years of experience you do encounter these things that definitely help you overcome things that make people think that you're not crap. Which is the main thing. And then you get recommendations for other work, and it snowballs, doesn't it? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. But you've got to put that graft in at the beginning, the very hard graft and time in, to get that network spreading, get that snowball rolling. And then you do need to keep pushing it, right? As you said, right? You've got to you can't rest on your laurels, because that pipeline will just dry up.
Yeah, exactly. And other people will be doing that, and they will phone up your clients and they will take them off you. And one day you'll phone them back up and go, "Remember me?" And they go, "Oh, vaguely. What do you want?"
Yeah.
And actually, they're already working with someone else. They don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And so you have to keep relationships alive, and no matter how busy you are, it's absolutely imperative that you set aside time, because what you'll find if you don't do that is and loads of small businesses have this, is you get peaks and troughs, because in the peaks you're busy and you're not working on new business, and then it'll dry up because you've not been working on new business, so you end up in a trough. So everyone hops on new business, like, quick, we need work. So then you'll have a peak again, and then you can't do new business, and your business just goes along like a wavy sea, never improving. And what you need to do is have a continuous effort on new business that just keeps that line going, so you gradually see revenues going up, and then once you see your revenues going up, you can figure out ways to make it profitable and more profitable. Oh, we don't need this, we don't need that. We could buy that piece of equipment because we've hired it 20 times in the last year. And but without the constant kind of new business churn, and it is a churn, and it's not glamorous, and it's hard, and your bum hurts because you sit on your seat all day. You won't, unless you're very lucky and you end up meeting the right people at the right times through luck and not through new business sort of development. It won't go anywhere really. You'll always just bumble along, potentially, picking up the odd job. And so I think that it's absolutely imperative that, people, especially starting out now, more than ever, if you don't have contacts in the industry, if you've got to make some. You don't have to do what you necessarily know. I didn't start in film and TV, but you need to find a route there. And I think one of the things that you find as well, when you have an idea with an avenue that you want to go down, like I've got this idea and I'm not going to tell anyone because it's working amazingly. I've called 5 people today and got so much work, you wouldn't believe it, just from this stupid idea, making kind of the most of the fact that people won't be able to visit places. And when you get an idea, you can really go down a rabbit run and pick off all sorts of different people that you can contact. And using online tools as well to get email addresses and stuff like that. If you do enough people and you give a good pitch, you'll get called, but you won't get calls by waiting for someone to phone up, because the chances are there's quite a few people in the drone industry, the ones with the good businesses, they're doing this and they'll take that work.
That's it. Hundreds and hundreds of calls a day is what we did when we were in that side of things, and we got a lot of work from it.
I actually find cold calling now isn't quite so effective as the well put together email.
Okay, interesting.
And someone quite well targeted, you know. Spending a while, I've been focusing more recently on picking a production company, and instead of picking 20 production companies in a day, I'll pick 5, but really drill down into exactly who I need to contact and make sure that whatever I do, I get them.
Nice.
And if they don't respond to an email, I'll send them something in the post.
Yeah.
And if they don't respond to that, I'll call up their, I'll get their receptionist and I'll get them, did they get that thing in the post? Because then you've got something to go back on. And so I don't think I cold call quite as much, because quite hard now actually getting past the receptionist if you're a drone company.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's lots of kind of and there's lots of things that I've played about with and experimented with over the years that have led us to where we are. And some of them don't work. You know, some of them you spend a bit of money sending things out and it doesn't work. But ultimately, you look at the ones that do. I don't really think I've had anything that's properly flopped. I mean, one of the negatives. Actually, this is quite a funny story. So I sent out some of these propellers, these plastic propellers, and a really good production company in London, who I won't name because I don't want everyone to bombard them. They're now a good client, but a really good production company in London. They do loads of big commercials. I sent them one of these things, and I got this really snotty email back. I can't believe you sent me this. It's going to go straight in the bin. It's not very good for. We're trying to be environmentally friendly. Blah blah blah. But your reel looks really good. So I went on this roller coaster of emotions and thinking, oh God, I've really, really annoyed them and I'm never going to get any work from them. So actually, that was the thing that got their attention and stood out from the rest. And then, yeah, since they've been a good client, we've done some really nice projects with them.
Interesting.
But, you know, you would never know, you wouldn't know that if you didn't try it. And so, yeah, we've had some little things like that where I've been like, oh, God, that was a bit close to the line. Or I've tried to blag it, you know, I've said something that's kind of, oh, well, I know that guy that you said that you know that I've only met once.
Yeah, in passing, yeah.
But on the whole, I think you know, generally putting effort in and really working at new business is the only way of actually making it work, unless you're lucky, like I say, unless you have some really, I don't think our industry, or specifically in the TV and film industry, online marketing is particularly where you need to be. I do think having a good web presence helps.
Yeah.
You know, ranking well on Google definitely helps. But I wouldn't. You know, we don't do targeted advertising. We spend no money at all on ad spend. In fact, our marketing budget is purely a portion of my time and Izzy's time. To reach out to people. That is our marketing budget. It is not. We don't spend any money on any kind of digital marketing, other than the odd flyer and poster and stuff like that. You know, postage, mailer, direct mailer thing. Yeah. You know, other than those little things, it's just our time.
Interesting.
Because that's what sells it. I think when you're selling services as well, I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. When you're selling services, you want to sell yourselves and get people to like you.
That's it. People want you, don't they? And like you say, it's those relationships that are, especially nowadays, because we're so disconnected, it's the relationships that you build with people which are what win you business, I think, ultimately. And that's why for us, the YouTube channel has been so powerful, because now, you know, someone types a question about drones into Google and 10 of our videos pop up. And there's no escaping it, right?
And you know what, Matt? I mean, I actually look at your videos to get advice on rules and regulations and stuff like that, because you know you're breaking it down in a way that isn't a 50-page. It's like trying to read a lease agreement or something like that. There's so many kind of double negatives in it that it just makes no sense. Yeah. And the aviation kind of rule book is exactly the same. There's so many kind of things that refer to points earlier on, and if this applies, then this applies. It's just you need someone to cut through it. And actually, so you know, I use your videos as someone who should absolutely know every rule in the book, and I think I do. But sometimes you need clarification. You need to understand certain things, and I think that. Well, I asked you a question earlier about renewals, didn't I? And what your advice would be on a sort of renewal and whether I pay this twice or not. And a niche question that's just not obvious without sort of trying it. And I think, you know, it's good to have someone in the industry that actually cuts through everything and gives clear, kind of concise answers. So no, I think that your platform is useful for everyone at all levels, from someone who's just started out to people like us and some of my friends in the industry that are also kind of running some of the kind of top companies, if we can say that. And you know, I think it's useful for everyone.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just, you know, again, it's marketing, but it's putting that time in, it's putting that graft in, and it's taken a lot of doing to get the 170 odd videos that are up now, right? Like, it's a lot of commitment, but it brings in so much work, it's unbelievable. So yeah, there we go. You can't, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut.
I get quite a lot of emails from people asking, or just people I see on shoots or whatever. They know what I do, and they say, "Oh, I was thinking of getting a drone. You know, who should I go with?" We actually do always send them your way, so that's a extra anything. But we do think, well, actually, you know, it's case in point, isn't it? Because I actually did your course to update my knowledge. When was that? November, December? I think it was early December.
Early December, yeah.
I did your course with a new starter of ours so that I could kind of top up my knowledge. I kind of thought it'd been 6 or 7 years. It would have been, or no, 6.5 years since I did mine, and a lot's changed. So, so yeah, you know, I recently retrained with you guys.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh? There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, mate, thank you ever so much. I've run over on your time a lot. I'm sorry, but
sorry, that's an invoice.
Yeah, don't doubt it. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Where can people find you and go and watch your show reel and stuff like that if they're interested?
Well, you're probably best off looking in the browser, because when I started the company, or in the description, sorry. Because when I started the company, I thought, oh, Flye, that'd be a cool name. Except, obviously, FLY wasn't available. So I had to go with FLEYE, with the kind of flying eye kind of, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
FLEYE.co.uk is our website, and our show reels on there. But yeah, Matt, if you put a link in the description,
I will. There's already one in there, I think. So
5 times a day, I'm kind of like, you've got it wrong. Yeah. No, that's not. Shall I just text you the link? Yeah, okay.
Oh my goodness.
That does happen a lot, and is a big regret. But actually, I think people remember it, because if they get it in their head, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And also, we're the only people in Sheffield, which is a rubbish place to be based for film and TV. But actually, people remember the fact that we're in Sheffield.
All those guys in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Oh, it's them.
There's no blue skies in Sheffield ever. And if you want to rent a camera, you don't even bother. You might as well go to Manchester or Leeds or something. Yeah. But you know, people actually remember that because it's a bit different. We've got a different name, and we're based in Sheffield, and no one else in the industry is based in Sheffield, so that kind of helps us from time to time.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome, mate. Well, yeah, I'll. I think there is already a link in the video description. I'll drop it. I'll definitely drop it in there. And yeah, go and check these guys out on the socials. Like Will says, they're not quite as active on there at the moment as they perhaps were when there was loads of work on and stuff like that, but there's a lot of very, very cool stuff that they're doing, and yeah, you know, go and show them some love, give them a follow. But no, thank you ever so much, mate, for spending some time with us tonight. It's very much appreciated, and
no problem. You know, thanks for having me on, and we'll try and organise that chat in a few weeks as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, give us a shout offline, and we'll get that organised. So no, thank you ever so much, dude.
All right, no problem.
Have a good night. I'll catch you soon.
Cheers, Matt.
Cheers,
thanks.
mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go, everyone. So Will Glover from Flye, like I say, I'll drop them a link to them in the video description if it's not already in there. I'm sure I already put one in, but yeah, hopefully that was useful for everybody. Again, just kind of, I think, echoing the sentiments that we try and teach everybody. You know, there are a lot of companies out there that sell this drone thing as a golden ticket. They sell it as a way to make yourself loads of money, and you know, Will has put years and years and years of hard graft into it, as have we, to get to the point where we can do this kind of thing, right? Like, you know, I can't emphasize enough, it's not about spending the money, it's about spending the time and growing yourself and growing your business. It is definitely, you know, a business, and that keeps you busy. All right. If you want to know more about that, you know, drop onto the MrMPW.com website. I've got courses on there that we use to teach people about the drone industry, how to implement the strategies and techniques that Will has talked about that work, that we have employed in the business to do over £1 million a year within the business, you know, to grow to the biggest training company in the country and the biggest in the world, you know, that kind of thing. So there we go. I'm going to wrap it up there because we have gone on for a very long time. Just before you go, don't forget to please give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't, join us next week at the same time, and go and follow Sean over at GEEKSVANA because he started 6 minutes ago with Lib for the drone show, and I've run over and kept a few people here, so there we go. So yeah, thank you ever so much everyone, have a great week, stay safe. I've been Matt Williams, fly safe and blue skies.